Spoštovane gospe, dragi gospodje, seveda ljudje iščemo svoje zdravje, iščemo tudi svoje duhovno zdravje, kajti vse bolj se zavedamo, kako zelo smo odvisni od tega, tudi naše telo. In seveda veliko veselje mi je, da vam lahko predstavim gospo, ki prihaja iz Amerike, to je Nancy Nestor Page, ki je doktorica metafizičnih znanosti, magisterij ima iz svetovnih religij, je pa tudi posvečena duhovnica. V Sloveniji je vodila že nekaj delavnic, tudi še bo prišla in še jih bo vodila. Nancy, lepo pozdravljeni v naši družbi in vesela sem, da lahko nekaj več povemo tudi o vašem delu.
I'm very glad that we can speak a bit more about your work as well.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Hvala, ker sem lahko prišla.
Poglejte, najprej bi morda začela z vašo knjigo, namreč saj ni samo ena, več ste jih napisali, ampak tale posebna nova knjiga je na nek način zelo pomembna. Kaj bi rekli o njej?
What would you like to say about your last book? It's very special.
The last book that Ken and I wrote together is called The Art of Transference.
To je zadnja knjiga, ki smo napisala skupaj s Kenom, je pač umetnost transference.
And it was based on the work that he has done in the past here in Slovenia with the Slovenian people.
In je temeljila na delu, ki ga je on v preteklosti pravljal Slovenci.
And the new technique that he developed for working with the people to help them heal their best.
In nova tehnika, ki jo je razvil, da bi pomagal ljudem, da se sami najbolje zdravijo.
We've both been in the healing arts for many, many years.
Oba se že z zdravilstvom ukvarjava zelo dolgo.
And we work together in heart and soul healing.
In tudi oba skupaj imava pač to metodo zdravljenja srca in duše.
I also do other types of healing work.
Pa tudi druge vrste zdravljenja.
But Ken was so very excited about what he was able to use and modify in working with the people in Slovenia.
Ampak Ken je bil tako navdušen nad tem, kar je lahko uporabil in pač spremenil na podlagi dela z ljudmi v Sloveniji.
So our collaboration on this new book was very exciting for us.
Torej sva bila zelo navdušena, da sva lahko delala skupaj na tej novi knjigi.
And the book is called The Art of Transference, as Ken mentioned earlier.
Zakaj je tako pomembno, da se spremenimo?
Why is it so important to change?
Well, if we always remain exactly where we are,
če vedno ostanemo na istem mestu,
we often forget that we have many choices.
Pogosto potem pozabimo, da imamo veliko izbir.
So allowing ourselves to notice that we have choices,
torej, da se dopustimo zavedanje, da imamo različne izbire, možnosti,
can often move us into a different direction in our life.
in lahko nas spravi v neko drugo smer v našem življenju.
Change is not always easy,
Spremembe niso vedno enostavne.
and many people resist it.
In mnogi
As
ljudje
much
se
as they
upirajo, koliko se le morajo.
But when we are aware that something has not been good for us, or it has not been helpful in our lives, or has not given us the feeling that we are complete,
Ampak recimo, ko imamo občutek, da nekaj ni dobro za nas, ali pa da mogoče da imamo občutek, da nismo popolni, da nismo celostni.
sometimes change is necessary, and we are forced to change from outside experiences.
In potem smo pogosto prisiljeni, da na podlagi zunanjih izkušenj se spremenimo.
The most important experience that we have is our relationship,
Torej naš odnos je najbolj pomembne.
not just with others, but with ourselves.
Ampak to je najpomembnejši odnos, ne samo z drugimi, ampak samim seboj.
Our own feelings of ourself plays out our life story,
To pač naši lastne čustva od nas samih pač igrajo, torej se pokaže naša življenjska zgodba.
and we bring that into our relationship as well.
In pač se ta čustva prenašamo v svoje odnose.
So when we become aware that there's something about ourselves that we need to change,
In ko se zavemo, da moramo spremeniti nekaj pri sebi,
then it can also affect our relationship.
to lahko tudi vpliva na naš odnos.
Kako pravzaprav lahko najdemo sebe?
How can we find ourselves?
Well, that question I could answer for probably about 6 hours,
Na to vprašanje bi lahko odgovarjala približno 6 ur.
because it involves a word that is very confusing, and that's love.
Pač gre za besedo, ki lahko povzroča zmedo, torej ljubezen.
When we learn to love ourselves,
Ko se naučimo ljubiti sebe,
we change our outlook on life.
pač spremenimo svoj pogled na življenje.
But the most important thing we do for ourselves when we love ourselves
Ampak ko se imamo radi sebe, torej najpomembneje,
is we change our vibration.
Takrat najpomembneje je, da takrat spremenimo svoje vibracije.
which changes our perception,
In torej pač to spremeni našo percepcijo, naše dojemanje.
which brings more awareness to us
Torej se bolj zavedamo
that we need to change.
in potem se vse bolj zavedamo, da se moramo spremeniti.
So, one of the things that I was so excited about coming to Slovenia
En od razlogov, zakaj sem bila tako navdušena, da bom prišla v Slovenijo,
was to introduce another way of finding a vibration
da bom pač predstavila nek nov način, neko novo pot za odkrivanje vibracije,
to help us find the center point of ourselves,
ki nam pomaga najti torej središčno točko nas samih,
which then leads to love.
ki potem vodi do ljubezni.
And that's the vibration of compassion.
Torej vibracija sočutja.
Our new book, The Art of Transference,
To je ta naša najna zadnja knjiga.
is healing through compassion.
Je pač zdravljenje s pomočjo sočutja, preko sočutja.
Glejte, zakaj ljudje ne občutimo sočutja? Pravite, da se ga moramo naučiti.
Why do people don't feel compassion? You say that we have to learn to be compassionate.
Often, compassion is something that we talk about, but we don't necessarily feel it for ourselves.
Pogosto govorimo o sočutju, vendar tega pri sebi pogosto ne občutimo,
Because we judge ourselves,
ker se obsojamo,
we criticize ourselves,
kritiziramo
we
se,
don't accept ourselves,
ne sprejemamo
we don't
se,
think we're good enough, or
Nismo
pretty
mnenja, da smo
enough,
dovolj
or smart
dobri.
enough, or fast enough, or whatever enough.
Nikoli pač nismo mislili, da smo dovolj dobri, hitri, lepi.
It's the compassion that we feel for ourselves first,
Torej gre najprej za sočutje, ki ga čutimo do sebe.
by just accepting that I am who I am.
To je, da sprejmemo, da smo, kakršni smo.
Se tega lahko naučimo na vaših delavnicah?
Can we learn that in your workshops?
Well, I have brought to Slovenia the hands of Kuan Yin,
Torej v Slovenijo sem prinesla roke Kuan Yin,
which is the easy way for me to demonstrate the vibration of compassion that people can feel within themselves.
pač to je zame preprost način, da prikažem vibracijo sočutja, ki jo lahko ljudje občutijo v sebi.
Our work of heart and soul healing is based on compassion.
Torej najno delo, torej najno zdravljenje srca in duše temelji na sočutju.
We can perhaps learn unconditional love for ourselves,
Lahko se naučimo brezpogojne ljubezni do sebe,
but having unconditional love for someone else is very, very hard
ampak je zelo težko brezpogojno ljubiti nekoga drugega,
because we always place conditions on how we want to be loved or how we like to be loved or how we would want to be loved. Those are conditions we place on it.
vedno postavljamo neke pogoje, kako hočemo, da nas nekdo ljubi.
So it's easier for us to have unconditional compassion for someone else
Zato je za nas lažje, da smo brezpogojno sočutni do nekoga,
and accepting them where they are
da pač sprejmemo te ljudi na mesto, kjer so
and however they are
in kakršnikoli so
without judging them.
in jih potem ne obsojamo,
But it begins with myself.
a začne se pri nas samih.
Lahko govorimo o tistem našem morda notranjem otroku, o tistih čustvih, ki smo jih prinesli kot otroci, pa nas takrat morda starši ali okolje niso znali naučiti, kako biti sočuten do sebe, ne nazadnje, kako biti sočuten do drugih.
Is it perhaps something to do with in our child when we were small, when we were children, that our parents, other people didn't teach us how to be compassionate?
I don't know that it's something that someone else can teach us
Nisem mnenja, da je to nekaj, kar bi nas lahko nekdo drug naučil,
or that we can place responsibility on anyone else for not teaching us.
ali pa že recimo polagamo odgovornost na nekoga drugega, češ zakaj nas ni
There are
naučil.
many reasons why we are the way that we are,
Ogromno razlogov je za to, zakaj smo takšni, kakršni smo.
based on where we are, how our past was, our heritage, our lineage, our parents, our family, our relatives, our organizations, our everything that makes us who we are is all depending on where we are today.
To je vse, kar se pač tiče nas, to je odvisno od tega, kje smo danes. Torej,
So I don't know that
odvisno
you
od
can
staršev, sorodnikov, torej sodelavcev.
I don't know that you can point to just say it's because someone didn't teach me something that I don't have it.
Torej ne moremo reči, ja, samo zato, ker me nekdo ničesa ni naučil, potem tega nimam.
Because many people are taught that in their homes, many people are taught that in society, and they still don't feel it for themselves.
Ker mnogo ljudi to nauči družba ali pa doma, pa tega do sebe ne občutijo.
We always judge ourselves. That's what we do when we're human.
Smo človeški in pač kot
It's almost like it's our
ljudje,
job.
to je pač skoraj kot da je to naše delo, torej da sebe obsojamo.
But that's what takes us off direction.
Ampak to nas pač spravi smeri.
So compassion allows us to find the center point of ourselves.
To je sočutje nam omogoča, da poiščemo, najdemo srednjo točko v sebi.
So that we can choose the direction we want in our life.
Da se lahko odločimo za smer, v katero hočemo iti v življenju.
And it allows us to become independent individuals.
In nam omogoča, da postanemo samostojni, neodvisni posamezniki.
Not dependent on someone else for our happiness.
Ne, da smo odvisni nekoga drugega, recimo, ali bomo srečni.
So if we question the choices that we have in our life,
Torej, če pač dvomimo o izbirah, ki jih imamo v življenju,
and we're not sure of ourselves or where we're going,
in če nismo prepričani v to, v katero smer gremo,
and we depend on our partner's happiness to be happy,
smo odvisni od sreče pač partnerja, da smo mi srečni,
and we depend on our partner to like us so that we can like us,
in potem recimo, da nas mora imeti partner rad, da smo sami sebi všeč,
we're dependent.
in potem smo odvisni.
And I feel that compassion, and what we've been teaching for so many, many years, is that compassion and loving ourselves can make us independent.
In ravno to, kar učiva že mnoga leta, je, da ravno sočutje nas dela neodvisne.
So we've been teaching this for many years.
In to že mnoga leta učiva.
Ali recimo ta občutek, zagotovo ga vi imate, da smo neodvisni, ali to, ko tudi recimo ljudje na vaših delavnicah spoznajo, ali jih to zelo spremeni, jim to da verjetno kakšno svobodo, kakšen zagon, morda tudi spremenijo svoj način, kako ljubiti?
This independence that you spoke about, people in your workshops, does this give them, when they experience the independence, this freedom, or perhaps the change?
Yes. Oh yes. In our sessions, our workshops, everything that we can give someone as a tool. If I give you a tool, if I give you a shovel, you don't have to dig with your hands anymore.
To pa, če damo neko orodje.
So of course it makes you freer. It gives you easier access to using something within yourself that's already there.
Ker pač lažje uporabljate nekaj v sebi, kar je že tam.
What we hope to do is self-empower people.
To je pač torej mi se trudiva, da bi ljudem dali moč v sebi.
There isn't anything that we do that isn't already within them.
Ničesar ni, kar bi delala, česar ni že v njih.
We just help clear away the veils or the energy that's been hurting or paining them so that they can feel some compassion, finally feel that within themselves.
Pomagava jim odstraniti vso tisto energijo, ki je preprečevala, da bi občutili to sočutje.
So they can stop hurting themselves by judging themselves not to be perfect or not to be lovable.
In tako pač jim pomagava, da se nehajo obsojati, ker niso popolni, oziroma ker mislijo, da niso vredni ljubezni.
That in turn changes our relationships.
In to seveda potem tudi spremeni naš odnos.
Because if I feel good about myself,
ker če se pač dobro počutim v svoji koži,
then my partner feels okay.
Se bo tudi moj partner dobro počutil.
But I don't have to be dependent on whether my partner likes me that day.
Ampak nisem odvisna recimo od tega, ali bo me partner imel tisti dan rad, ali mu bom takrat všeč.
Ali mnogokrat opažate na delavnicah, da nas je ljudi strah svojih lastnih čustev, tudi sočutja?
Do you often experience in your workshops that people are afraid of their own emotions?
Absolutely.
Perhaps their compassion?
Oh yes, absolutely. Why shouldn't we be afraid? Everything that we have learned since we were babies is our emotions are going to hurt us.
To je pač od otroštva naprej se učimo, da nas bo čustva prizadela.
And that's why when Ken was interviewed, he said most of us at 3 years old said, "Oh, I don't think I like this because this hurts."
Pač recimo mnogi od nas rečejo pri 3 letih, to mi ni všeč, ker to boli.
We can't trust our own feelings.
Nismo v stanju zaupati svojim lastnim čustvom.
When I was very little and I had my own emotion and my own feeling,
sem bila majhna in sem imela svoja čustva.
And then my mother had an emotion or a feeling, or my father had an emotion or a feeling, that comes over my feelings.
So se recimo čustva mojih staršev prekrile.
So then later in life I have to question, are these my feelings or are they my mother or my father's
feelings? Se potem kasneje v življenju sprašujem, ali so to moja čustva, ali so čustva moje mame, mojega očeta, čigava čustva so.
So most people, yes, fear of their own emotions, it's a big deal.
Pač ker je to res nekaj velikega, ne? Zato se ljudje bojijo svojih čustev.
In ko se osrediščimo, ko najdemo tisto svojo točko, središčno v sebi, o kateri govorite, ali se takrat tudi povežemo s svojimi čustvi in postanemo dejansko tista prava oseba?
when we find our center point, when we connect with it, do we then also connect with the emotions and become a complete person?
When we find our center point, yes, we can become a complete person if we are willing to release the patterns or the energies that our emotions hold.
To je pač to samo v primeru, da če smo v stanju sprostiti energije, ki jih ta naša čustva zadržujejo.
When we can find our center point again,
Ko lahko ponovno
by
najdemo
having the
središčno
feeling
točko
of compassion for ourselves,
in lahko občutimo in seveda to občutimo sočutje do sebe,
then it allows us to realize we have choices.
takrat se lahko zavemo, da imamo več izbir
That's
na
the most
voljo.
important gift I can give you,
To je največji dar, ki vam ga lahko dam.
is to help you recognize that you have the gift of choice.
In torej, da vam pomagam razumeti, dojeti, da imate to,
You're
ta
not
dar,
trapped, you're not stuck,
da niste nekje ujeti.
and a change is a very easy possibility.
In je potem pač sprememba zelo lahka možnost.
And that's what we attempt to help people with, is to recognize that in every circumstance there is always a choice.
In torej pač skušamo dopovedati ljudem, da je v vseh možnih okoliščinah, da je vedno imaš nekaj na izbiro.
Just that little bit of awareness, that little tiny bit of awareness will effectuate good change for them.
In pač samo čisto malo zavedanja bo vplivalo na dobre spremembe,
Because then they don't feel so trapped.
ker se potem ne bodo počutili več tako ujete.
It's like being able to take a big breath of fresh air.
To je pač kot, da lahko si končno v stanju globoko vdihniti.
How many times when you were afraid did you hold your breath
Kot ko ste se prestrašili, pa ste zadržali dih
and you froze?
in ste zamrznili.
What we did was we took that whatever emotion that was
Tisto čustvo smo
and we
vzeli
brought it into ourselves.
in ga torej vzeli vase.
So how long do we hold it?
Koliko časa ga bomo zadrževali?
Afraid to let it go?
Torej, da ga ne bomo spustili,
Because after all, it is what we know.
ker je
We
pač
might not
to,
like it,
ker je to nekaj, kar vemo in
but it's
mogoče nam ne bo
familiar
všeč,
to me.
ampak ga poznamo.
It's my own little comfort zone.
Torej, pač tukaj je neko majhno območje, kjer se počutimo varne.
So yes, change can be scary.
Torej, spremembe lahko človeka prestrašijo.
Ampak pogum velja.
But it's very good to be courageous.
Yes, and being courageous allows us to recognize that we are creators.
To je pač, če smo pogumni, nam to omogoča, da se zavemo, da smo ustvarjalci.
That I can do something for myself.
Da lahko jaz nekaj storim zase.
I can create the kind of life I know I deserve.
Lahko si ustvarim življenje, za katerega vem, da si ga zaslužim.
But that's a big jump sometimes.
Ampak včasih je to velik preskok.
So we need one step.
Torej, potrebno je pač en korak.
The first step is to stop being so hard on ourselves.
Pač prvi korak je, da nismo več tako strogi do sebe.
Hvala lepa, Nancy, in seveda predvsem hvala, da ste podelili z nami to dejstvo. Upam, da se ga bomo vsi zavedali in zlasti razmišljali o tem, da v življenju imamo izbire.
What's most important, thank you for coming and that you share with us the most important fact that we have choices in life.
Well, thank you so much for being so welcoming to me. This was my first trip to Slovenia and I felt very welcome the whole time.
Hvala za dobrodošlico. Prvič sem v Sloveniji, ampak se ves čas se počutim zelo dobrodošla in sprejeto.
So, thank you for having me.
Hvala.